Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. And thank you for joining Shaded's Ramadan series where we're extracting the beautiful lessons from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. Lesson number 24 is talking about referring to the people of knowledge. When we look back at the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, what resulted in Yusuf alayhi salam being freed from the prison was an unexpectedly strange dream seen by the king himself. He narrated in verse 43 how he saw 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 lean ones. And as well he seen 7 fresh ears of grain and 7 others withered. He immediately turned to his council and he sought the interpretation of this dream full of uncertainty. He felt strange with this dream and he never seen a dream like this, and that's why he felt compelled to think that this was not just a random dream, this was a dream that wanted to tell him something. The response from the king's council is worth noting. Though they admitted it sounded like a very confusing dream with different layers of obscurity, they very clearly said that they do not have the interpretation of this dream. And this is important because they did not speak without knowledge just to please the king, which they could have done. Instead, they made their position noticeably clear. It was quite easy for us to give an opinion on a matter which we have no expertise or no knowledge of, but this is not the coherence with what we are taught in the Quran. So we should never talk without knowledge or experience. If we don't know something, we should simply say, I don't know. In fact, the command in the Quran is very explicit, where it says, ask those who have knowledge if you do not know. If you have an inquiry or you have a question, you want to have clarity in something, there is no harm in turning to the people of that particular field to give you an answer that is accurate and comes from fact. You don't want to just go to anyone. You want to go to that expert or that person that carries that beautiful knowledge. In fact, we should be humble enough to say, I don't know, and pass it on to someone more qualified to deal with it. It was known about many of the earlier scholars, including Imam Malik rahimullah, that they would believe that saying I do not know to be half of knowledge, because knowledge must be approached with humility, for it ultimately comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even those that carry knowledge, as the example that was just given by Imam Malik rahimullah, they referred to I don't know as half of knowledge, because even though they were wise and they were knowledgeable and they are known to us as scholars, they ultimately know that that knowledge came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The etiquette is to frequently say Allah knows best. Allahu a'lam, which Allah is the one who knows best. Even if one knows the answer, because we may make a mistake or we may even misunderstand the question, thus covering any of our own shortcomings, we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. It is said that Ali, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, was once asked a question by a man. So he gave the answer confidently. He was then informed that his answer was wrong and was subsequently corrected. Instead of rebuking the individual or even feeling ashamed or angry that this person is correcting him, Ali radiallahu anh admitted that he was wrong without any hesitation. So if we are ever in the situation where someone asks us a question, if we know, we should give the answer and say that Allah knows best. But if we don't know, we shouldn't shy away from saying that I don't know and refer them to someone who has possibly the better answer for them. So Ali radiallahu anh did not get mad. And that means we shouldn't get mad as well when somebody corrects us. We should admit to our mistakes. He then went on to quote the later part of the verse number 76 from Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, where he says, above those ranking in knowledge is the one all-knowing. that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what we possess in knowledge, us as human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-knowing one. And He's the one who gifts us with knowledge. So we learn that there is always someone more knowledgeable than us. And above all, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-knowing. Referring to the people of knowledge and experts is vital if we want to understand the different aspects of our faith better. We shouldn't just act like we know everything, and we shouldn't act the opposite. If we don't know, we're too shy to ask. If we really want to improve our faith, then we go to those of knowledge and we seek guidance from them. It is also potentially a huge danger if one without knowledge speaks on the matter relating to Islam. After all, a half-qualified doctor can potentially put someone's life at risk, and likewise, a half-qualified or self-proclaimed scholar can put someone's faith at risk. Subhanallah, see how dangerous it could be? Think of yourself. If you had an illness, wouldn't you want to go to the best, the one that has the most experience? And the same goes with our faith. If we go to a doctor that doesn't have experience and is not equipped to help us, then we're going to put ourselves at stake. And guess what? He's going to put your life at stake because he's too arrogant to admit that he doesn't know. But imagine a person who says they know, but they don't, but they put themselves in that situation, and instead of them doing good, they actually harm someone's faith because they didn't answer them correctly. So Yusuf a.s.'s companion from prison, who had been freed, happened to hear about the king's dream after this gathering. And suddenly, after all these years, he remembered his noble friend whom he spent time with in the prison. He hurried to the king. He went fast to the king and sought permission to leave, for he knew only one person who would have the answer and the knowledge to interpret that dream. And this companion did what needed to be done. He didn't take matters in his own hands and say, I know, I know. He asked the king to free him to go seek the interpretation of this dream. And that's what he did. It was through this that Yusuf a.s. now came back into the spotlight after many exhausting years in the prison. And at last, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented Yusuf a.s. with a perfect opportunity to leave the prison and continue his life as it once was, or perhaps with further twists in store. So, a lesson from today's lesson is, if you know, then share your knowledge. But if you don't know, don't hesitate in saying, I don't know, and referring people outside. Because even though we have the intent to benefit, we might actually harm because of the lack of knowledge that we possess. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us knowledge and grant us wisdom. And if we are approached with someone who needs our help with knowledge, if we know it, we share it. But if we don't, we pass it along to those that are more knowledgeable than us. Please stay tuned and follow Shaded for more life lessons that we're taking from Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. Jazakumullah kull khair for your time, and I hope that you have a blessed day.